the anthem, the stadium, the fans, but again, without doubt, the best pre-match anthem in the world. If you were to ask someone around here, give me a couple of Bundesliga clubs, they'd probably say Bayern? Yep, well done. Dortmund? Fantastic, mate, you really know your stuff. We all know Borussia Dortmund are an absolute powerhouse of German football, and we will be at the Westfalenstadion next month for the game versus St. Pauli. By the way, many people would consider this a crime in Germany. Putting a Dortmund shirt next to a club we recently featured, which many consider a fallen giant, over in Gelsenkirchen, not far away from Dortmund, Schalke, a club many people would consider a fallen giant, especially after recent results.
A few moments later.
Despite playing in the Zweite Bundesliga, Schalke are still one of the biggest clubs in the world in terms of memberships. Naturally, Dortmund and Schalke hate each other. Geographically, they're neighbours, with Google Maps having the distance between the Westfalenstadion and Arena auf Schalke as to being around 36 kilometres. But we're talking about the Ruhr area of Germany, one of the most densely populated areas in all of Europe. Now, in between those two famous stadiums isn't just wasteland, there is a city with a Bundesliga club. And it's not Oberhausen, not bloody Heidenheim, nope, not Augsburg. You're getting your geography all wrong, Roy. Come on, you're really taking the piss now. Hoffenheim, hang on, that's the one.
Life is better. Life is better. You're in honest place. It hammers out through the night. Don't let them put you down. You bloom in your own way.
That's right, VfL Bochum, or VfL Bochum, as closely as I can pronounce it properly, are a Bundesliga club situated right in between those two giants, Borussia Dortmund and Schalke. Now, despite being regarded as a smaller club, they spent a whopping 38 years in the Bundesliga since it was formed in 1963. Now, if you look at the all-time typical, the wind wasn't bad enough, I've got aeroplanes going over the top. If you look at the all-time Bundesliga table in terms of the most seasons spent in the Bundesliga, they sit 13th. So despite being, again, regarded as a smaller club in the area, they're solid, they're pretty good. You might have noticed on the VfL Bochum badge, 1848, which, if you're English like myself, might be a little bit confusing, as we know that modern football originated right here in England, and FIFA have recognised the English club Sheffield FC as the oldest football club currently still in existence. So you might be thinking, how does that work out then, Roy? Well, Sheffield FC weren't actually founded until 1857. So again, very, very confusing. 1857, Sheffield FC, 1848 on the Bochum badge. 9 years later, the oldest football club in existence began. But like many German clubs, VfL Bochum made their start as a wider sports club. A lot of German clubs have quite old founding dates because they play other sports prior to playing football, such as cricket, hockey, gymnastics and so on. It wasn't until a later date where they really focused on football. Like many German clubs, there were bumps in the road throughout VfL Bochum's history. The German league system was reorganised many times pre and post World War II.
Listen, don't mention the war. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it all right.
It's okay, Basil, we're all friends now, and speaking of friendships, Freundschafts, did you know that VfL Bochum do share a friendship with Bayern? Don't let that put you off, it's perfect if you're English, because you get to celebrate Harry Kane without the tag of being a Glory fan. The only problem is that English curse might have rubbed off on VfL Bochum, as they only just managed to survive in the Bundesliga last season via a relegation playoff where they were 3-0 down versus Fortuna Düsseldorf. It's not been much better for them this season, but we were fortunate enough to witness Bochum get their very first point of the season a couple of weeks ago versus Holstein Kiel. So yes, there's a bit of a build-up, guys. Bochum are playing Kiel, both nil points, 0 points so far in the Bundesliga. So this is a massive game, a 6-pointer, and whoever gets the points, mate, might still be relegated.
Yeah, probably both.
VfL.
Oh, fair, genau.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous! And I think it's important to note what a beautiful stadium VfL Bochum have. Now, similar to how we should cherish grounds like Craven Cottage and Villa Park in the Premier League, grounds like the RUHRSTADIon should be cherished in Germany.
Because you're gorgeous.
Now, according to my friend Nina, a VfL Bochum season ticket holder, I mean, we mentioned this in that video versus Holstein Kiel, but there are many ways to describe the RUHRSTADIon, many names given to the ground. For example, as I check my notes, a Schmuckkästchen, which I believe translates to like a jewel box, maybe a jewelry box, like I said last time, I'm not too sure, a Schmuckkästchen. Also, grounds like this in Germany often get referred to as a Hexenkessel, which is basically a witch's cauldron, which is a nod, up my notes. It's basically a nod to those grounds which have an incredible old school atmosphere. She also says as well, they don't say they're going to the stadium, they say they're going an Kastrope, which is basically the street the ground's on. I've completely murdered these pronunciations, so I do apologise. Obviously at the moment, the RUHRSTADIon is known for sponsorship reasons as the Vonovia, you can see it on the shirt, the Vonovia RUHRSTADIon. And between 1976 and 1979, the ground went under major reconstruction. I think legally, according to Wikipedia, it's an expansion, but pretty much a rebuild happened in the late 70s, and off the back of that, the capacity was around 50,000. Despite some tweaks over the years and obviously health and safety getting involved, the capacity now, according to Wikipedia, is 26,000. Bochum's history at the RUHRSTADIon dates all the way back to 1911, when it was just a meadow they rent off a local farmer. It wasn't until years later they actually started to build on the grounds after the First World War.
Old differences forgotten, and no need at all to mention the war. Sorry.
Basil, forget about the war. Did you know that David Bowie actually played at the ground in 1983? And of course, this guy. Herbert Grönemeyer is a famous singer, producer, actor, and more specifically, one of Bochum's most famous fans. Sorry? VfL Jesus.
Oder Watt.
And since 1992, the club have played his famous song anthem, titled Bochum, as their pre-match anthem, as I said, every single game.
Tief im Westen, wo die Sonne verstaubt.
It's a song about his love of his hometown, a place not as beautiful or as rich as a Dusseldorf or a Munich, but a place full of hard-working people. When I first attended the RUHRSTADIon in April, I knew nothing about VfL Bochum, but when I first heard that song, a part of me fell in love with this club. You see, I made a deal with myself when I started making German football content, not to make the same mistakes I made here in England with my personal allegiance to a certain club in Manchester. It definitely hinders offering a perspective or talking about my experiences at different clubs. I don't want to make the same mistake in Germany. I plan to visit every single club / stadium in the Bundesliga, the Zweite Bundesliga, the Third League, the Regional League and so on. So I feel keeping a club, a personal allegiance to one side, it offers a pure, neutral perspective outlook on German football. You see, the channel is going hard, going heavy into German football. We're going to be in Germany every 4 to 6 weeks going forward. So for that reason, I've got to hold off. VfL Bochum is like that really sexy girl next door, whereas Dortmund, she's like a glamour model, looks really good. Schalke is like a yummy mummy, a former hottie, but still going quite strong. There is a purity about VfL Bochum, an innocence, which again is a little bit sexy, but I must resist temptation, as I said. However, I highly recommend you check out VfL Bochum, a game at the RUHRSTADIon. Their nickname is the Grey Mice, which is perfect, as like a mice kind of goes undetected, under the radar, but they go about their business, and that summarises VfL Bochum, albeit, as I said, a sexy mouse. That little mouse is staying out the way of the bigger animals. It's doing its thing, and it's doing its thing beautifully. I hope they do survive this season. Check them out, even though they've had probably some of the worst shirts in football history. Das genug für heute. Auf Wiedersehen.
Life is better